Okay, class, so we made it to Thursday. So today's our last day of e-learning for this week. Remember, no e-learning tomorrow. Yeah, take a deep breath again today. It's sort of like yesterday where there's nothing major. It's not hard. This is not difficult. In the end, my students are like, oh, why did I think that was so hard? Okay, it's just one of those things that's new. Okay, so when it's completely new, remember, you always kind of need to take a deep breath for me and not freak out and get through some examples. Remember, you can contact me. You can set up a meeting on my calendar if the video doesn't help. You can attend class when I teach it. But today we're still going to be looking at graphing quadratics. We're just going to be graphing quadratics in standard form. Okay, so when we are in standard form, we don't have that nice little parenthesis thing going on that just makes it easy to find A, H, and K. Okay, instead, we are going to be in the form of what we normally see for trinomials. So y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And the reality is you just have to trust me. Even if we didn't have e-learning and we were in the classroom, I still would tell you to just trust me. All trinomials in this form can be rewritten into that format we were talking about yesterday. It involves some pieces of completing the square. You just don't know how to do it yet. Just trust me that it can happen. Okay, so we're going to stick to pretty simple and pretty basic things of graphing quadratics in this format. But there are some things that we should know. First of all, we still are going to have a parabola that opens up or that opens down, and that is still going to be determined by A. Okay, so this A value right here, if it's positive, we're going to get a parabola that opens up. And if it's negative, we are going to get a parabola that opens down. Now, A today is going to be able to be some different numbers because it's not going to really matter if A is 1 or 2 or 4 or 28 for that fact. We'll be able to account for it in what we're doing. Okay. The problem is that we don't have an H and K to find that vertex and that starting point. So if we want to be able to find a vertex, we want to be able to find that middle point. Okay, the vertex is found by doing negative b over 2a. That's our x value. Okay, so just write it down and take a breath and believe me for right now. And to find the corresponding y value, we're going to have to plug whatever it is back in. Again, just take a deep breath and trust me. So we're going to rewind in our brains for a moment and go way back when, all the way to trimester 1. And remember, if we wanted to graph something like y equals 3x plus 2, right, we sort of talked about this yesterday. We could make a table and we could plug in some values. So maybe I pick -1, 1 and 2, or -1, 0 and 1. Maybe I pick 0, 1, 2. Maybe I pick 1, 2, and 3. But they just have to be numbers that fit on the graph. Okay, it's fine. We would then take that and we'd plug it in. So we'd say 3 times 0 plus 2. Right? 3 times 1 plus 2. And once we did all that, we'd get order pairs that we could plot. Well, we're going to go back to that idea a little bit in this problem. The difference here is that when we're doing a quadratic, right, yesterday we said that symmetric look meant that we wanted 5 values. So our table is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and remember, we also said that the vertex is always the middle of the parabola. So this negative b over 2a is going to be the value we put in the middle of our table. Okay, so let's say, it's okay if right now you don't have all the answers. Let's just look at an example. Let's sort of jump in and let's see what happens. Let's say we want to graph y equals x squared plus 4x plus 3. Okay, so if we want to graph this, like I said, we are going to make a table. And we want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the number that we put here in the middle is going to be negative b over 2a. So to find that value, it's going to be really helpful to know what a, b, and c are. We should be good at finding a, b, and c because we've done it for factoring. We've done it for the quadratic formula. It's something we've consistently seen. Okay, so our a value is 1. We don't see a number in front, it's 1, right? Our b value is 4. And our c value is 3. Okay, so if we do negative b, so negative 4 over 2 times a, which is 1, right? Kind of has this little mini piece of it that feels like the quadratic formula. So 2 times 1 is 2, so we really just want negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2. The only thing you have to be really careful of is that you can't always just type in your calculator the whole entire thing, right? Order of operations, be really careful there because this is a long, so you need to multiply here and then do the division, okay? Now, once we get that negative 2, we're just going to fill this in like we're sequentially counting. We're just going to go in order of a number line. So negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. Now, you might say, Mrs. McKinney, I would have done that the other way and put negative 3 and negative 4, and then done negative 2, negative 1, 0. It does not matter. So you can go either direction, whatever makes sense to you, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm just I mean, if you wanted to, you could take negative 2, and then do plus 1 equals. Plus 1 equals. And then do negative 2 minus 1 equals. Minus 1 equals. But I'm just making it be like a number line. Okay, and then we're just going to plug and chug. We're going to plug these values in just like we did up here. So now instead of saying x squared, I'm going to say 0 squared plus 4 times x, but x is now 0, plus 3. Can do it in your head, but my suggestion is you just type it in a calculator. If you don't have a scientific calculator at home, I linked one on the home page of Canvas. Right? I'm just typing that whole thing in. And I get out 3. So I put in 3. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next one. And now I'm going to plug in negative 1. So negative 1 squared. Remember, those parentheses are so important. You have to have them. Plus 4 times negative 1 plus 3. And again, I'll go back to my calculator. Parenthesis, negative 1 squared. Negative 1. And we will get out a 0. And then we'll do the same thing with negative 2. So I'm just going to arrow up and over and change it in here, and I'll get out a negative 1. And then I will put in a negative 3. So I'm just going to change those values on my calculator, right? So do you see how I'm just taking my calculator and I'm arrowing up to the number I want to change? So the next one I want to plug in is negative 4 instead of negative 3. Right, the rest of it's still in here, plus 3. I'll get 3. Now notice, just like yesterday, we're getting the same thing. These numbers are the same, and these numbers are the same. This is a parabola. Parabolas are symmetric. So if you don't get those numbers to be the same, then you did something wrong. You should definitely see that those numbers are the same. Okay? Then, once we have those numbers, then we're going to be able to graph. So if you don't have a printer and didn't print, or if you just don't want to print, I probably wouldn't print. Just draw it a 10 by 10 coordinate plane. Okay, and we are just going to plot these points. So I'm going to plot the ordered pair 0, 3. So 0, 3. Then I'm going to plot negative 1, 0, right? So I'm taking each of these from my table and just writing them as ordered pairs. It's like, holy cow, Mrs. McKinney, you plot points way faster than me. Just pause the video. Okay, so -1, comma 0. -2, -1. -3, 0. -4, 3. And there is my parabola. Okay? So let's try and do another one here. My guess is at this point you're kind of like, I don't really know. But again, we're gonna do another one. I'm gonna sort of get into the process here. And then once you get the process down, it's pretty straightforward. So how about we say y equals -2x squared plus 8x minus 3. So again, if we want to graph in this form, we definitely need to have a table. Now, again, worst case situation, if you're taking a test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're taking a test and you can't remember, you could plug in any old random values. You're just not going to find that nice symmetric point, and you might not find the vertex. And the vertex is usually what things are looking for. Okay, so to find that middle piece, to find that vertex, we're going to do -b over 2a. So b is 8. So I'm going to do -8 over 2 times a, which is -2. So again, I have to do the bottom first. So -8 over -4. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. I'm putting that in the middle because that is my vertex, and the vertex goes in the middle. Now I'm just going to count up and down. So 2, 3, 4, 2, 1, 0. And then I'm going to start plugging in. So I'm going to plug in 0 first. So I'm going to do -2 times 0. So my 0 goes in parentheses, squared, plus 8 times 0, minus 3. Okay, and I get out a -3. I'm going to plug in my 1. So I'm just going to get arrow over here and change those into 1s. If you want to retype every time, by all means, feel free to. Okay, so it gives me a 3. I'm going to plug in a 2. I'm just going to change those into 2s. Now, what values better we get out here if we want to make sure this is symmetric? What number should we see in this box? Okay, hopefully you're thinking a 3. We better see a 3. So let's check ourselves. Perfect. Okay, and then we'll check a 4, plug in 4. You better be getting out a -3. I always tell my students to double check. Don't just assume, because that's how you'll tell if you did something wrong. Now, if someone said, okay, well, what is the vertex of this parabola? Remember, our vertex is what's in the middle. So 2, 5 is the vertex. So 2, 5 is my vertex, right? The vertex is that high point or the low point. Now, we have an A here of -2. So when A is negative, that says we should be getting a parabola that opens down. So we better be plotting these points and getting a hill. So let's check. 1, 3. 0, -3. 3, 3. 4, -3. Now, this parabola is a little bit more squished because as these A values in front change, we either get a skinnier parabola or a fatter parabola. Okay, so the bigger the value, I don't know if that makes sense because it could be positive or negative. The closer it is to 0, the fatter we get. Further away from 0, whether positive or negative, the skinnier we get. Okay. I just want to look at one more just to sort of make sure we're okay and we understand the process. So let's say we want to graph y equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, so sorry, you're probably gonna see a weird jump in the video. I did something silly and had to start recording again, but so I'm gonna just splice the videos together, so you'll probably see a weird jump. But okay, so we're making our table. Okay, we want to find our middle, our starting point. So negative b over 2a. So 1, b is negative 6. So the negative of negative 6, I might have caught that when I spliced it together. So the negative of negative 6 is really the same thing as saying the opposite of negative 6, just positive 6, over 2 times 1. So we want 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Okay, so we'll go up 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and we're going to start plugging in. So we'll say 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 9. Then we'll go up and we'll do 2 squared minus 6 times 2 plus 9. Which will give us a 1. And I'm going to do 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 9. Okay, so what number better we see when I'm plugging this 4 in? Okay, we better all be saying 1. So let's see. Yep, we're good. Plug in the 5. Hopefully we all are thinking in our heads that we should get 4 out, and we do. Okay, so what number in this is going to be our vertex? Right, our vertex is the middle, so hopefully we all are all thinking 3, 0. All right, our vertex is here at 3, 0. Make sure you don't plot 3, 0 backwards. Okay, then we'll do 4, 1. And 5, 4. We'll do 2, 1. And 1, 4. There's our parabola. Okay, so you're going to be making some tables on your own for your check. Make sure you're following the instructions. Don't enter any spaces. Okay, in between your negatives or anywhere, don't enter any spaces. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, set up an appointment on my calendar. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend. We'll get back at it next week.